One of the questions that I feel like a lot of us had when it came to The Last of Us Part 1 is how did Ellie gain immunity to the cordyceps? We saw her get infected, and it was a very simple infection, one that didn't have anything special to it, and one that didn't involve any kind of special chemicals being involved that allowed her to gain some type of immunity or even remotely, halted. Nothing happened to her basically that halted the whole control or assimilation through the cordyceps of her brain.
Ellie. Ellie, your arm. No, 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 no.
And in The Last of Us Part 1, they make it heavily, heavily known to us that the effect that it has on the brain is something that's completely irreversible and uncontrollable.
The doctors tell me the cordyceps, the growth inside her, has somehow mutated. It's why she's immune. Once they remove it, they'll be able to reverse engineer a vaccine. A vaccine.
But it grows all over the brain.
It does.
Find someone else.
So much so that and the only way they felt that they could, the Fireflies felt that they could develop a cure for the virus was to actually, I mean, not the virus, but the cure for, I forgot what they're called, like the cordyceps and the kind of infection it is. The only way they could think of a cure, the only way they could think of a cure for the infection was for them to remove Ellie's brain. And this is what led Joel into the whole fucking kill fest that was the ending of The Last of Us Part 1.
Actually,
But now that we've been introduced to what we all believe to be Anna in the PGW trailer, and we know now that this game may take place into, of course, some years right after the whole outbreak started, and jumping back to Ellie's story, it's kind of put me into this whole thing to where I'm asking myself the same question once again. How did Ellie get immunity to the cordyceps? Now, pause. I think we had the biggest clue to this back in The Last of Us Part 1. In The Last of Us Part 1, it said that Ellie's mom died after giving birth to Ellie. Sometime after. It doesn't give any complete timeline, but it could have been immediately after, it could have been a little while after. However, we do know that she had things in order for her to give birth to Ellie. She had written the letter. She had given Marlene her switchblade to give to Ellie later on. So this would mean that she already knew that it was confirmed to herself that she was going to die. And you should be seeing where I'm going with this. The way that Ellie probably got immunity to the cordyceps is because Anna was infected right before she gave birth to Ellie. Now, this is a very huge thing for us to talk about, and this would also kind of not make sense for Ellie to have immunity to the cordyceps dating back as far as when she was actually inside of the internment zones that Marlene put her in. So she put her into an internment zone, but of course we saw in at the beginning of The Last of Us Part 1 when you literally step out of your whole little section and stuff where your home is, where Joel's home is, and you go off into the main street, we see that people are regularly checked for some type of infection. And if Ellie always had the infection residing within her, then would this kind of mean that Ellie should have been discovered a long time ago and killed a long time ago? I don't know. I really don't know. But I think that there's going to be an interesting way that they're going to probably write around this. It feels like it's a writing problem, but I don't think it would be. Maybe what's going to happen here is that rather than the cordyceps that she got, we know her cordyceps mutated. If her cordyceps mutated, then mutations don't always get detected the same way as the initial infection. This is kind of true even when we think about medicines, like even our viruses or our, I don't know, I still don't know what the fuck this thing is called, man. It's a parasite. It's a parasitic like plant. The cordyceps is a parasite. So it's like this whole parasite fungi in order for it to kind of remain dormant, I'm guessing that's what it is. It remained dormant within her until she was bitten, and this reintroduced another, like, like another dose of it, I guess you could say. This introduced another dose of the cordyceps. And I'm guessing that's when she kind of learned her immunity, and that's when it started to flow in her again. The whole idea of the cordyceps. But I believe that what gave Ellie immunity was that her mother was bitten and she was born with the infection already within her. And due to that, with her developing brain, her brain didn't develop and then the cordyceps came in and took over. No, no, no. What we don't see is any children. It could just be a whole thing. Neil Druckmann not wanting to fucking put children as, of course, runners or clickers and shit. But it would have made sense to make children runners or clickers. There was gonna be plenty of children that they got their hands on. And people wouldn't not everybody would sacrifice themselves to make sure the children survive. Like, just no. There should have been some children runners and clickers. That would have made the game a hell of a lot better because they would have been a lot more energetic and they could have been faster than the rest of them. But anyways, we know that, of course, when it comes to children, it doesn't truly work exactly differently, so it isn't like they have a better chance. However, a baby in its developing brain has a lot more of an opportunity to develop alongside something like the cordyceps. And the reason for that is that it's still developing. The cordyceps may not have the ability to attack a child brain or a baby's brain the same way it does to someone who has an at least kind of developed brain, like an actual child, like an actual kid. Wait, now that I think about it, the little black kid that was bitten in The Last of Us became a runner. So yeah.
The hell?